All right, so you're ready for a deep dive. This one's crafted with you in mind, whether you're, mapping out your next career move or looking to build a really strong team. We're diving into what we call a high-value hiring experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just about filling those empty spots, right? It's about building those solid relationships and making sure there's a good fit, both for the individual and the company.
Absolutely.
So to navigate this, we're using a really interesting piece, actually. It's a blog post from Locum Integration.
Oh, yeah, I read that.
They lay out some really key strategies for how to elevate the hiring process, to draw in those top-level professionals.
Yeah, it's a great resource.
And today, our goal is to sort of extract those actionable insights, those golden nuggets, so to speak, so you can really understand what makes an effective and positive hiring process in today's market.
It's such a different landscape now, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
But the blog post really drives home the point that the hiring world is, it's competitive. Right. Skilled people, they have options. They're not just sitting around waiting for one offer.
It's not like it used to be.
No, not at all. Someone with the right skills could be juggling, several different companies at the same time.
Yeah.
So that means what used to be just a courtesy, a well-planned, transparent experience for the candidate.
Right.
That's become a strategic advantage, a real one. Companies that don't get that, they're going to fall behind. They won't be able to attract the best people.
And that brings it back to you, right? Our listener.
Yeah.
You want to be in the know. You want to understand how this all works. And this shift, this power shift where skilled professionals, they kind of have the upper hand.
Mm-hmm.
That's the foundation for everything we're going to talk about today.
Absolutely. Now, the blog post outlines 10 specific ways companies can improve their hiring game.
Okay, yeah.
Let's start with those first points of contact, the initial engagement. One that really stood out to me was post with purpose.
Oh.
It's about making sure those job postings they reflect real needs in the organization.
Yeah, nobody wants to apply for a job that isn't really a priority.
Exactly. And the post makes a good point about being upfront, even if a role is still in the planning stages.
Oh, you mean like a little note saying, hey, this is in development or something?
Exactly. That kind of transparency builds trust with potential applicants. It shows you're honest from the get-go.
It shows you're not trying to, pull a fast one.
Right, exactly. It sends a signal, even before someone applies, that this is a company that values clear, open communication.
I like that. Okay, so post with purpose. What else?
Well, another key element in that initial phase is point number 5, keep the application process simple.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Especially for those high-level professionals, ones juggling multiple opportunities.
Right, they're busy.
A complicated, time-consuming application, that's a big turnoff. Think about it. How frustrating is it to deal with a clunky online form?
Ugh, the worst.
So offering a streamlined application, maybe a one-click apply, or letting people upload their LinkedIn profile, that shows respect for their time and effort.
And it just makes sense, right? You don't want to risk losing a great candidate just because your application system is a nightmare.
Exactly. Now let's jump to point 9.
Okay.
This one's about transparency on compensation and benefits.
It's a hot topic these days.
It really is. Sharing salary ranges or at least highlighting the key parts of your benefits package early on, that's crucial for building trust and making sure everyone's on the same page.
Because why waste time, right? If the expectations don't align on something as important as salary.
Exactly. It saves everyone time and avoids potential disappointment down the road.
Okay, so we've covered some of those initial touch points. Now let's dig into the interview process itself.
It's okay. Yeah.
The blog post has some great tips here, starting with point 2. Communicate hiring timelines up front.
That might seem basic, but candidates really value it. Providing those timelines, even if they're just estimates.
Gives people a sense of what to expect.
Exactly. It manages expectations, shows you're organized and professional. It keeps the candidate in the loop.
Because that uncertainty, that waiting game, it can be really stressful.
Oh, for sure. Knowing even roughly what the next steps are and when you might hear back, that can make a huge difference.
Definitely. Okay, so what's next?
Point number 6 is structure interviews with intention.
Interesting.
This is about respecting the candidate's time. Each interview round should have a clear purpose.
Meaning?
Well, what are you trying to assess in that particular conversation? What specific skills, experience, or fit are you looking at?
Right, so it's targeted.
You want to avoid asking the same questions over and over, and you want to make sure the interview stages flow logically.
Makes sense. I've been in interviews where I felt like I was repeating myself, and it's not a good use of anyone's time.
Exactly.
Mm.
Now, point 7 talks about using job-related assessments.
Oh, assessments, yeah.
The focus here is moving away from those abstract, puzzle-type assessments.
The ones that don't really relate to the job.
Right. Instead, you want evaluations that actually mimic the job's responsibilities.
So, more realistic scenarios.
Think real-world scenarios, collaborative problem-solving. That gives both the candidate and the company a much better understanding of how they would actually perform on the job.
It's about seeing them in action, basically.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered initial interactions and the interview process. Now, let's look at the importance of communication and respect throughout the entire journey.
Yeah, that's crucial.
Point 3 focuses on providing thoughtful feedback when possible.
Okay.
Now, it might not be feasible to give detailed feedback to every single applicant, especially for high-volume roles.
Right.
But making an effort to provide at least some brief, respectful feedback, especially after final round interviews, that leaves a really good impression. It shows you value the candidate's time, even if they weren't the right fit.
It humanizes the process.
Exactly. It shows you see them as a person, not just a name on a resume.
I like that. Okay, what's next?
Point number 8. Communicate regularly. This sounds simple, but it makes a big difference.
Communication is key, always.
It really is. Keeping candidates informed about where they stand in the process, even if there aren't major updates,
Right.
that reduces anxiety and strengthens their connection with the company.
Because silence can be, like the worst.
Right.
So it makes you think you've been forgotten.
Exactly. And then we have point 4, which emphasizes the importance of balancing technology with the human touch.
Oh, that's so relevant today with all the automation.
Applicant tracking systems, they're great tools, but they can't do everything.
Right.
Relying solely on them can mean you miss out on good candidates, maybe because of a keyword mismatch or something.
So you need that human element to make sure you're not missing anyone.
Exactly. Combining technology with human review, that's the most effective approach.
Okay, and last but not least, in this section, we have point number 10. Create a two-way conversation.
This highlights a shift in how top talent views the hiring process. Well, the best candidates, they're not just looking for any job. They're evaluating the company just as much as the company's evaluating them.
It's a two-way street.
Exactly. Giving them opportunities to ask questions, to meet the team.
Right.
That shows you value them as a potential partner, not just an employer.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've looked at those 10 practical tips. Now, the blog post also outlines what highly skilled professionals really want from the hiring process.
Yeah, and a lot of it overlaps with those 10 points we just discussed.
It makes sense. So what are some of the key things they're looking for?
Well, first and foremost, they want clarity. Clarity in the job description, clarity in the expectations of the role.
They want to know exactly what they're getting into.
Exactly. They also want fair and relevant assessments, the kind we talked about earlier, the ones that actually reflect the work they'd be doing.
Makes sense.
And of course, transparency is huge. They want clear communication about the process, the timelines, everything.
It's about respect, right? Keeping them in the loop.
Absolutely. And they value opportunities to get a feel for the company culture, to meet potential colleagues.
To see this is a good fit.
Right. Beyond just the job itself, they want to see if they can thrive in that environment. And ultimately, they're looking for a respectful, mutual evaluation process.
Where they're treated as equals.
Exactly. They want to feel valued at every step of the way. It's a partnership, not a one-sided thing.
So bringing it all together, it really comes down to this idea of hiring as a relationship. It's not just a transaction.
The companies that get that, the ones that lead with transparency, flexibility, authenticity, they're the ones that will attract and keep the best people. It's about building a connection right from the start.
And by focusing on a positive candidate experience, companies aren't just getting better hires, they're also building their brand.
Oh, that's a crucial point. Every interaction, whether the candidate gets the job or not,
Right.
it contributes to the company's reputation. A good experience can even turn a candidate into, like, an advocate for the company.
Even if they didn't end up working there. Interesting.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff.
So, wrapping up our deep dive here, it's clear that in today's world, creating a high-value hiring experience isn't optional.
It's essential.
For both job seekers and companies, The keys are clarity, respect, and transparency throughout the entire process.
Couldn't agree more. By embracing those principles, companies can not only attract top talent, but also build lasting relationships and a strong reputation. And for you, our listener, understanding this, it's valuable whether you're navigating the job market or involved in hiring within your own organization.
So as you're thinking about all this, here's a question for you to ponder. What's one aspect of the hiring process, maybe something from your own experience, that you now see differently? And what small change could make a big difference for everyone involved?
That's a good one to think about.
Something to chew on.
Definitely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See you then.